India is marking its 75th Republic Day with pomp and show. The Constitution of Independent India came into force 75 years ago on January 26, 1950. Celebrations have started across India, but the Indian capital, New Delhi, is particularly abuzz. Thousands of security personnel are deployed across New Delhi. The capital is set to host the grand annual parade, in which the forces showcase their might and the states display their culture. For the first time ever, an all-women tri-service contingent will be marching down the Kartavya Path. Women pilots will also enthrall the audience during the Indian Air Force flypast, representing Nari Shakti. The contingents of the Central Armed Police Forces will also consist of only women personnel. The Indian President Droupadi Murmu will lead the country in the grand celebrations. French President Emmanuel Macron will grace the celebrations as the chief guest. And the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that Macron's presence adds to the history of friendship and collaboration between the two nations. India has a tradition of inviting at least one foreign head of state or government to the Republic Day March in New Delhi. A 95-member French Foreign Legion contingent will also take part in the parade. The French marching contingent will be accompanied by a 33-member French military band. 2 Rafale fighter jets and 1 Airbus 330 multi-role tanker transport aircraft of the French Air and Space Force will be part of the flypast. Now, in a short while from now, the celebrations will commence on the parade route, stretching between Vijay Chowk to Kartavya Path, with the momentous unfurling of the Indian national flag resonating with the national anthem. Dignitaries, including the Indian and French presidents and other top officials, will start arriving by 9:30 a.m. local time. Of course, they have already started arriving, and we will be bringing you the latest from ground. The parade will begin around 10:30 a.m. from Vijay Chowk. The themes for this year are Viksit Bharat, or Developed India, and Bharat Loktantra Ki Matruka, or India, Mother of Democracy. The Indian Prime Minister extended wishes to the people of India on the occasion of the 75th Republic Day in a post shared on social media platform X. President Emmanuel Macron has also extended his wishes to everyone in India, saying he is happy and proud to be with the people of India on Republic Day. Celebrations have begun in other states. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin attended the parade in Chennai and unfurled the national flag. Telangana's Chief Minister paid tributes at Virula Sainik Smarak at the Army Parade ground in Sikandrabad. Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik also attended a ceremony in the state capital. BJP President JP Nadda also unfurled the national flag in the party headquarters. All right, so we're just about to begin with the parade as it's scheduled at 10:30 a.m. And to discuss everything that this signifies, there is a lot to discuss. We have with us Mr. Rajiv Bhatia in the studio right here with us. Welcome to the WION studios. Mr. Bhatia is a former diplomat who has served as the Indian ambassador to Mexico, Myanmar, South Africa and Kenya. And we're also joined by retired Major General Rajan Kochar, who is a defense strategic analyst who's live with us from Dehradun. Sir,
thank you very much.
Major General, I'd like to come to you first, sir. Of course, it is a different sort of a parade that we're going to be seeing today. Talk to us about the significance of the presence of women in our defense forces and the move to have an all-women tri-service contingent marching down Kartavya Path. What does that signify, and what kind of messages is sending out to India and across the world as well?
A very significant message is going across that women power has come to the being, and if any world army or a modern army needs to modernize it in its true essence, it cannot do it without the contribution of the women. And women have a very important role to play, because for the first time we are seeing that we are having women being commissioned into the fighting arms. In the regiment of artillery, for the first time, 10 women officers have been commissioned, and you are going to see two of them on this parade, Lieutenant Deepa Rana and Lieutenant Priyanka Sevda. So it gives a strong message. Earlier, we had a kind of an impression that the arms or the fighting arms was only the bastion of the men. This is the first time women have breached this bastion and sending a strong message to the world that they are no less than the men. And that is why we must compliment our Prime Minister in this, because this tri-service contingent for the first time being showcased in this parade is sending a strong message, not only to all parts of the country, but to the entire world, that the Indian Armed Forces has a visible strength of both men and women. And it has been my personal experience of having commanded women officers. Let me tell you, they are second to none, and they bring in a kind of innovative method of functioning to the armed forces. They bring in intellect, they bring in poise, and they bring in technology, because the women which are being inducted into the armed forces today are all technical graduates who have a wealth of technical knowledge with them, and with the upgradation of technology taking place in the armed forces, they are bound to contribute immensely. So I feel that this is a very strong and a pertinent message going, and not only in the Indian Army, I'm seeing it in the Indian Navy also, and in the Indian Air Force also. We have the women in today's parade will be piloting the aircrafts in the fly past, which is going to take place at 10:30. So I feel, as an overall citizen of the country, I should feel proud today that our women have got their rightful place in the armed forces.
So I just want to take it a little further from there once more. I want to take your thoughts on this. How much do you feel, is this a move to also encourage more women to become a part of the Indian armed forces going forward?
See, this is a very landmark for the National Defence Academy, because I am from the National Defence Academy. The National Defence Academy used to have only men cadets. Now, for the first time since last year, we have the first batch of the women cadets joining the National Defence Academy. So it is a kind of inspiration when all these young girls are going to see all the NCC cadets also with women contingent. The NCC cadets is also women contingent. And when they are going to see their own sisters participating in this kind of an endeavor like a parade, let me tell you, it gives you a great deal of inspiration also to join the forces. Because today we need more women officers, and not only officers in the Jawan's cadre also. We are in the core of military police also, we have the women today. So it is bringing up a total kind of a revolution in the country, I feel. And seeing these role models of theirs, because they will become role models for them in times to come. They'll get inspired to join the armed forces, and it augurs well for a nation like ours.
Major General, stay with us. I'll like to come back to you. Of course, as of now, I want to take our next question to our guest who's right here in the studio, Ambassador Bhatia. Thank you so much for being here with us. Sir, I wanted to, take your thoughts on the significance of the French President being here in India, what it signifies for the two nations coming together. We've already, of course, the Indian Prime Minister was in France in July in last year. And of course, now we're seeing the French President who's right here in India. How does this bring the two nations nations even closer who have already shared nearly 25 years together?
Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for raising this very pertinent question at the beginning of the coverage itself today. First of all, my best wishes to all countrymen and women and to all friends of India around the world on this special historic Republic Day celebrations in Delhi. It's a foggy morning, but I think people's hearts are filled with enthusiasm and a huge dose of patriotism. To answer your question, what is so special about this Republic Day parade and the meaning of President Macron's visit to India? I think it reflects the very special and unique relationship that binds India and France. The relationship is not 25 years old. What is 25 years old is a strategic partnership which was established in 1998, and we'll come into the details of that later. It's a very old relationship. It's a relationship which is based on shared democratic values and also very strong convergence of mutual interests. We diplomats always believe that when our values and our interests bring two countries or two societies or two polities together, this becomes a very abiding friendship. This is the case with regard to India and France. President Macron is here at what we call a short notice invitation. I think it is well known in the public domain that earlier New Delhi had extended an invitation to the US President, who for some reasons could not accept the invitation. And then Indian government looked around and settled very quickly on France. The invitation was extended to him. And I think experts are unanimous in saying that the French president has been very magnanimous and very graceful in accepting this invitation so quickly.
So it only solidifies what India and France would be like in the years to come, because we already know the past, but going forward also it signifies stronger ties going forward, does it?
Absolutely. I think all the three time dimensions, the past, the present and the future. So the past has been a story of a rich relationship. At present, vitality is palpable, and we would also talk about the results of the talks between Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and President Macron, which took place last night, last evening. And third, the future. And I think this is where I would just like to make a couple of sentences to say that France and India is the only relationship where the two leaderships have reflected on the subject and decided to develop a very creative and very imaginative and yet very practical document called Horizon 2047. This was developed last year when PM Modi was in France, and this looks at the future of how this relationship would unfold in various segments. So we are very proud and delighted that the head of the state and head of the government of that country, which is so close to us, is here today with us.
Stay with us, sir. Of course, you're right here with us in the studio. I'd like to now go back to Major General Kocher. Sir, now, France could have brought its Dassault Mirage 2000s as well, but it chose to bring its Rafales. Of course, we know that India has the Rafales in its fleet as well. Talk to us about the defense ties between India and France going forward from here with this parade as well.
A very significant question on defense cooperation. We are aware that 36 Rafale were actually delivered to us before time. And we also have a Mirage 2000 fleet in the Indian Air Force. It's almost 15-20 years old fleet, which was given to us by France and which has been maintained very well through an excellent mechanism of space parts exchange. France has always been a very reliable defense partner for us. We are shortly going to conclude a submarine deal with them Scorpion, 3 submarines are coming to us. It was a long-felt requirement of the Indian Navy. And also, there is a great deal of cooperation in space and cyber. Many may not be aware, but we have gone into a very close collaboration with France, and we have an annual meetings, progress meetings with them at the NSA level. And there all these nuts and bolts of the various mechanisms are being discussed. And latest acquisition, we will be getting 26 Rafale, a maritime version for the Indian Navy, because today the Indian Ocean region is becoming very volatile, and we need to have that kind of force multipliers with us, like submarines and Rafale jets, aircraft carriers, and France it's got a great amount of technology with them. So we are aware of these aspects, and that is why a great deal of technological sharing is also taking place between India and France, because as you are aware that defense is a strategic sector, and this strategic partnership is now 25 years old, as the ambassador was also mentioning. So this strategic sector needs a greater push, I feel, and with the coming in of this kind of friendship in the last 5 to 6 years, what a bonhomie we have seen between Macron and Modi, I am quite sure that all these projects which are on the anvil right now will get the necessary push, because as you would be aware, these projects do take a long time to materialize. Our basic request to the French government has been that we want this to be done on a fast-track process, because the evolutionary things which are happening in the Indian armed forces need a greater push of technology. So I am sure with these kind of defense deals coming through with the France, and France is, by the way, our second largest importer. We import the second largest country, I would say. And therefore, this significance of President Macron's visit to India, a discussion what he has had with PM Modi yesterday, and the follow-up which is going to take place is extremely important.
Major General, of course, I'll come back to you. Ambassador Bhatia, I wanted to just take a line from one of your articles, that the ability to maintain multiple strategic partnerships while safeguarding its strategic autonomy makes New Delhi, with its growing political and economic weight, a preferred partner for Paris. Now, I wanted you to just elaborate a little further on this, that what makes New Delhi Paris' preferred partner?
Yes, I think in a way it is mutual. I think for India, France is the preferred partner, and for France, India is the preferred partner in a relative sense. And this arises from the deep affinity of the philosophy of the foreign policy. We all know that France has come up a long way. Its history shows how within Europe it faced a serious ordeal in terms of wars with Germany, and it had to eventually prevail. In fact, when the Second World War began, France started off as a vanquished power, but it remained very strongly allied with the allied powers, particularly the US and UK. And as a result, when the Second World War ended, France was a victor. So the lesson France learnt was that it should be part of a military alliance, and yet it never gave up its sense of independence, its sense of strategic autonomy. And in a similar manner, this is the story of India's foreign policy and defense policy. When the Cold War was on, India was non-aligned, but it had a special relationship with the Soviet Union.
Yes.
And now when the Cold War ended 20 years back or more, India has developed the policy of multi-alignments. It has not one, but several strategic partnerships. And it works very honestly and forthrightly with them, whether it is Russia, US, France, UK and others. And yet, the core of India's foreign policy is to maintain its strategic autonomy. So, if you see the way the two countries' foreign postures have developed, there is a parallelism, there is an affinity, and this fundamentally makes each other a preferred partner.
Preferred
today.
for both.
Preferred for both, absolutely.
All right, Ambassador Bhatia, stay with us. Of course, you're right here. We're going to be speaking with you as the parade begins as well. As of now, I'd like to thank Major General Rajan Kochar for sharing all his insights with us. Thank you so much for joining in right here on WION with us. And we're just minutes away from the parade, which is about to, from the arrival of the dignitaries, which is about to begin, and the parade, which is expected to start at 10:30 a.m. We are going to be tracking the developments closely.